for the Shop Report with
Barbershop Jay.
What up, sports fans? Welcome to the Shop Report special presentation of the Turnbuckle. I, of course, am your host, none other than Double J, and we have quite a bit to get into this evening. Despite the late start, my guy to my right, your left, none other than D Gully from the CO Lum Bus. Talk to me. What's going on?
Everything's going on. Sorry for the technical difficulties. Traveling on the road yet again. And sometimes when you travel, you got to make sure you do your checklist. Get your checklist, pack your bags before your trip. That way, no matter what happens, late arrival, early start time, you're always prepared. I didn't quite do that, so had a little bit of a delay. So my bad. I want to get right to it, though. Got a lot to discuss.
Yeah, a lot going on.
But you know what? First.
Yeah.
Take that off the screen. I do gotta say this, man. PSA. I'm from the. I currently reside in the city, but understand, make no mistake about it. I appreciate what Columbus has done for me and my family, and the opportunities and everything that is done for me. But I'm Cleveland, okay, born and raised. All right, I'm gonna rep the 216 until I'm no longer here. All right, and because of that, okay, I am also part of my DNA, part of the package. You are a Browns fan, whether you like it or not. I recognize for me, that means that, yeah, I could root for the Steelers because it's tough love, because I want the Browns to be the type of stable, consummate professional franchise that the Steelers are. I want them to be the type of winning franchise that the Ravens are. I want them to be the type of turnaround franchise that the Bengals are. I don't want them to be what they are right now, okay? Secondly, to be a Browns fan today, on October 21st, 2024, is a bit of a conundrum. The reason why is because I, in no way, shape, or form, condone that chant of our quarterback when he got injured playing for the Cleveland Browns yesterday. People have already made up their minds about one Mr. Deshaun Watson. Clearly, the court of public opinion has made their verdict. Clearly, the court of public opinion has not actually been to court. Clearly, the court of public opinion forgot that he also was 5-1 last season when he was healthy. It was Joe, the guy who went 5-1 and led us to a playoff game before we got railroaded by the Houston Texans. More on that at another time. But that's our quarterback. If your quarterback gets a resounding chant of disapproval, if he gets booed out of his own stadium, what more would you want from a franchise player to come to this city if that's what you get when they don't like you and you're here? It made sense if I understand correctly. When Michael Irvin, I guess the injury that pretty much spelled the end of his career, he got injured in a football game versus the Philadelphia Eagles. And they were clapping, and they were glad, they were cheering and all. They were cheering this injury, the injury that cost him, that basically spelled the end of his career. For Michael Irvin, I'm paraphrasing. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. If I'm lying, I'm flying. He said it made sense for Eagles fans to be cheering his demise, professionally speaking, because he was a rival, and it happened in Philadelphia. You would have thought you were playing in Cincinnati yesterday if you heard that, right? I'm not that Browns fan. I will never be that Browns fan. I have a different opinion of Deshaun Watson than thousands of people in that stadium yesterday. And you know what? I stand on my opinion. And that was disgusting. How could you be Myles Garrett, Nick Chubb? How could you be anybody in a Browns jersey supporting what happened when you hear what happened yesterday? How could you want to put on that jersey? If I'm the Browns players, I'm like, you know what? I'm just here for the team. The guys in the locker room. These fans can have it. Okay? Myles Garrett did very well by saying we got to be better fans. He's not a fan of Cleveland. He's a fan of his brotherhood. This is the franchise that he plays professional sports for, that he makes a life-changing, life-sustaining income for him and his family, and he supports his brothers that suit up with him, that go to practice with him, that play the games with him. But he's not a fan the way these fans were. Yesterday, you call the fans, you know what? What happened was yesterday, Browns fans define the definition of fan. You know, fan is short for something. When we say we a fan of a team, we a fan of a franchise, we a fan of a player, it's short for fanatic, but it's more palatable to say fan because it just sounds benign and innocent, like you're rooting for your team. No, they were fanatics yesterday, and that's not the type of Browns fan I will ever be. And I defy anybody to come challenge me on that opinion. I'm done with my TED Talk.
Well, I mean, you're not going to really hear anything different from me. I was in those circles. So, unfortunately, that's why if you were really to ask, like, oh, who's your team? I don't really have one. I had one at a point in time, but once you have people that are in there, right, that are
right.
part of those teams, and naturally they disperse over time, no different than the way that you go to middle school and high school with people, and then they end up all over the globe. You know, you become fans of the players and not the teams themselves. So, yeah,
one last thing.
I don't have to agree with anything that he did necessarily, but at the end of the day, yeah, to your point, I'll never kind of wish ill will or celebrate somebody's livelihood getting.
I want him out of here. I want him on the first train smoking. I want Deshaun Watson out of here, right? Watch this hot take, right? I want him out of here. I want him out of here on the first thing. I want him gone from this franchise. I want him gone from this franchise to an opportunity. I want him to have the Michael Vick opportunity, right? To be ostracized and ridiculed and shamed to the point where you come back and you lead a franchise to a turnaround and you lead them back to the playoffs and you lead them back to glory. I want Deshaun. I hope the best for Deshaun Watson. I want him out of here. I want us to be over it. Clearly, today, Baker Mayfield is not making that case right now. But, you know, as of the start of this season, Baker Mayfield is probably one of the top 3 quarterbacks in the league. He having an off night tonight, but hey, that's the Ravens. But all in all, he led those guys to the playoffs. Remember, Browns fans, we thought Baker was a problem. And this is how we treated Baker. So you're getting exactly what you give out. I hope Deshaun Watson does well. I want him out of here.
I will say this. Something I said to Lions fans about 2 drafts ago when they had gotten Gibbs and then the linebacker out of Iowa.
Okay.
They were like, these are horrible picks. I said, you guys have never seen a winner, so you don't know what a good one is.
There we go. There we go.
Because I was arguing the opposite point. I'm like, I watched so many Iowa games that I knew that kid was a stud. And obviously I'd seen what Gibbs did. And when you see the conviction of the front office,
right,
they clearly got the guy that they had wanted. Now you fast forward to today, and of course you'll see, 20,000 Gibbs jerseys being worn. And it goes to show, like, okay, well, that's why they're not on the payroll to make those decisions.
Right.
Essentially, right. We had Doc on Saturday, as we always do. And, he said what he said about Russell Wilson.
Yep.
And in response, essentially, and in response, right, obviously there was a brief, easy exchange there on Facebook earlier, but where Mike Tomlin said, that's why I'm paid the salary that I'm paid to make those types of decisions.
Exactly.
So, unfortunately for the fan base, speaking of Iowa, go green. go home. Anyway,
she lived there.
I know.
Hey, but I tell you what,
no, that'll strike a chord with her. Actually, just when
I tell you what, another
yeah.
thing before we get to the turnbuckle, I know our fans are waiting for us to talk about turnbuckle action, right? Maybe they're not.
Mhm.
Maybe they're not NFL fans. Maybe not. But sports is sports, and sports entertainment is in the category of sports because it entertains us. Okay. Perhaps Justin Fields was playing the way he was. And the reason why it doesn't make any sense to anybody is because of how well Justin Fields was playing. Perhaps he was playing at will because even he knew what Mr. Wilson was capable of.
Like he was on borrowed time?
He knew he was on borrowed time. Because remember, it was an injury that gave us Justin Fields to start the season in the first place. But there was a competition. So the benefit of what we seen was, I would say it. The benefit was.
But hang on. But look at the difference, right, of the fan bases.
Yep.
Did I look outside of Doc? I don't really ever recall anyone on the Pittsburgh side of things saying, "Mike Tomlin, you are anything. You're just making a bad choice." Putting it as like PG as I possibly can.
Right. No,
they rode with whoever was under center. They trusted in who that. Like, look, as much I love our host, right? But he doesn't trust anything Kevin Stefanski does.
Me either. No, listen.
Well, that's kind of my point here. Like, look at the pulse of two fan bases.
Yep. You right.
I'm taking myself completely out of it, just with the exception of just from looking at it they're completely different lenses.
Okay.
That same glass half full or glass half empty.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I get it. Cleveland's starving for a winner. They were able to retain the history. Yeah. Unfortunately, in many ways, because the history that came since then, that really was a part of their original franchise. That, to me, they should have started over.
I don't remember a 25-year span of futility in Cleveland franchise history until you get to 1999. In the 90s, before 94, 95, well, 95 was the last season.
Oh, yeah, you had Belichick, yeah.
Right. But 94, 93, 92, 91, they had a couple of lean years, but they were perennial favorites to go to the Super Bowl. We just ran into a guy named Elway. The 80s were kind of, the 70s, I think, were a bit rough. But like I said, a 25-year period of futility.
No, I mean, again, the only team that could have immediately came to mind would have been the Lions.
Exactly.
Who are now, but look what the Lions did. And this is what I'm going to point out to you, right? The Lions, when they brought in Sheila, okay. Believe me, people were playing, like Ready for the World. Was it Ready for the World? Oh, Sheila?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. I wasn't sure if it was Prince. It just sounded like Prince. I don't
know. It's that Minnesota sound.
And go ahead and Google it, folks, for the vibe later. And they weren't sure what to make of it. Now, they wanted the Jets head coach, Dearborn native, the one who just got let go.
Yeah.
Then it was reported, hey, he interviewed terrible here. Even though he was from here, like he interviewed, I guess, just bad, right? I don't know Rob like that, so I won't say anything negative about him anyway. But because to do what he did to start at Dearborn, at Fordson like that, and go all the way up, is fantastic. He'll get a second chance, no problem. But
has the Jaguars?
I hope not. No, he'll probably go to Green Bay or back to San Francisco, something like that.
Yeah, go ahead.
I can see Green Bay actually, but because that's his buddy. They were both on that Dearborn Fordson staff.
Okay.
And then at Central together, and then to the 49ers. So, but basically, then they hired Dan Campbell, right? This bite the kneecaps dude, who yes played on the team. Like when Dan Campbell was on the team, Kevin was on the team, so I was in there,
right?
Bruh, you know how many people weren't sure of that move?
Of course.
Again, like you point out, court of public opinion.
Right. Right.
And then you Brad Holmes, he's terrible. Man, every single move was terrible until it wasn't. But here's the thing, though. Look at the last 2 years. Like, what do you do right now? And this is what I wanted to ask you ultimately, right? Because now Watson, look, you could do one of these two things. Okay, I've heard Nick Wright say it, that trade him to a team that will take his contract. Now, it might be too late because he's hurt. But the idea was trade it where the contract is dead to them, where they could cut him right away.
Yep.
All right, well, being that he's injured, look, his money goes off the books anyway, gets paid out by insurance, at least for the remainder of the year.
Right.
So I don't want to hear any Cleveland fan from this point on saying, boo-hooing about Watson, because his money is not on the cap.
Right. Okay.
So
see, people don't know that. I think I make sure that cycles for us. What you said, I'd like for you to restate that again and make sure we amplify that so that it cycles for us, because that's important, I think, for people to know, especially these fans in Cleveland worried about that money.
Remember, as Barbershop Jay reiterates all the time, what fan is just short for fanatic.
Right.
Which, again, then he typically leads into the Webster's version of that definition to further emphasize that point. In my case, though, I'm going to kind of simplify it to this. Now you have a choice. Okay. DTR is hurt.
Yep.
If you are Kevin Stefanski, a one-win Kevin Stefanski, who just got Nick Chubb back, do you just put completely all your faith in the emergency quarterback, which is otherwise known as Jameis Winston, who, if you have not seen his clip in support of his teammate, please humble yourself.
Yeah. Sounds like guys that know him. Right?
Bro, sounds like I told you, I don't have to know him. I don't have to know him. I don't have to agree with anything, any action he has ever done outside of playing the game of football. But being in that arena and knowing what it's like to watch someone's last play, and to know what they did to get themselves up to that point. I'm not talking about from the 6-year-old, little kid, trying to tearjerker. I'm talking about from just, I was injured, and this is what it took for me to rehab to get back to this point. Only to get injured again, and now I'm out again. There's a mental part of this that is consistently severely underlooked, because unfortunately they don't really, like, that's not good for the product, unfortunately.
Right.
To like put it that much in your face with, when you see an injury, you cut to commercial, you go get a refill. Meanwhile, somebody else's wife is running down the stairs trying to figure out what's going on.
Right.
That's the thing. Most people have never experienced that. I have.
Yeah.
So I don't care who the person is. If that's they call them the modern day gladiators for a reason. Right.
Right.
Our host talks about whether he calls it a diaper on her head or whatever, but even if he agrees with it or not, we know what the long-term health issues are that conveniently, thankfully they've been able to fight for a little bit. but there's so many, like there's all those other layers to it.
Yeah.
So now what do? All right, I'm putting you in the driver's seat. Do you just ride this out with Jameis for better, for worse? Or do you say, hey, Indianapolis, what do you want for Joe? Or, hey, Atlanta, what do you want for?
Oh, no, that's over with. That's over with. I don't think teams, you know what? I don't know. I'm telling you, man, the fan base really effed that up. Who wants to come here?
Now?
Who wants to come here now? Who wants to still be a part of this now? What player?
All right, was that okay?
What player? Listen, because remember, this is the culmination of everything surrounding the way the current roster and how it's built. Amari left. Look how well he performed on Sunday.
I know that hurt a little.
Oh,
hey, you heard us on Saturday. Those anytime touchdowns.
Let remind you. Dang, it's almost like Kareem Hunt never left Kansas City.
Isn't he from Cleveland?
Cleveland native. I tell you what, I have distant familiar.
But listen, but they didn't offer him. Remember, they didn't offer him.
Okay, right. So, and look what he does, right? They found out.
Reid's offense.
Yeah, well, right. It's Andy Reid's offense, right? But when it was Stefanski's offense, and you know what? No, here's the thing. When it was Stefanski's offense, it was Nick Chubb. But guess what? You just brought up Detroit.
Mm-hmm.
Who else is running that way? Oh, Baltimore is. Baltimore got a three-headed monster running, right? They'll run Zay Flowers out the back. Well, I think he got hurt today, but Zay Flowers got backfield packages or
he had like a 50-yard catch too earlier in the game.
Yeah, right. But you got Derrick Henry and your quarterback, who's also your second best running back. And you have standard running backs, right? So the NFL kind of figured out. The NFL kind of has figured out you do need running backs. You just don't need to pay just one of them. You need to have a complement of two, because when you have the depth when you have the active depth at running back, you flourish. Which is why two-headed monster teams not firing like what we say, not thunderbolt and lightning, right? To borrow that from my colleague, my bro, who had said that to me earlier. To have backs with similar skill sets but versatility, you have that dynamic combination. That's what you need out of running back. Oh, Cleveland had that, but decided they didn't. So who wants to come here?
You had what was his name? DeErnest as well at one point. The kid from Miami, and who was not bad either. Right. Then you had, of course, combination of Nick. Now I'll tell you this, I talked about running back. So, the lifespan of a running back though is 5 years. So
okay, yeah.
I'm going to tell you guys this right now. All you fantasy players, don't be surprised if I were to tell you right now, I think Christian McCaffrey retires in a year.
Wow. That's heavy. Now that's heavy.
I don't want him to. I honestly think, look, it has nothing to do with, but Double J, it's because you drafted him or he was your keeper or something. No, it's not. It's me being a data guy and looking at something that I witnessed firsthand, which is the toll that it takes on them.
Yep.
Right. Barbershop Jay's talked about his loss of appetite for certain, because of the stuff that he, just seen.
Yeah.
And I'm looking at what he has dealt with, and in particular this last go round, and saying there's certain time frames, even with a team that is being cautious.
Right.
This unfortunately is starting to look more and more like. I said, do you remember? Like, I'm going to tell you guys this right now. Like, go back on a previous show, and I said, go to Europe.
Mm-hmm.
Go to Europe. Do what Kobe did. Dirk Nowitzki did it. basically it's either like something to do with stem cells or just something we can't do here.
Right.
And to my understanding, he did.
Who is he?
CMC.
Okay.
And we're still here at this point. Meaning, now this is something I never witnessed before, which is if that part of it's true. Now he could come back next week and light it up for 35. I'm still going to feel the way that I feel.
Gotcha. Yeah.
It has nothing to do with actually his performance this season or, what he may or may not do between now and February.
Right.
It's,
go ahead.
Yeah, just simply put, I think something is not responding.
Mm-hmm.
And this is where it gets very difficult. And of course, as we know, right, that the benefit is Kyle Shanahan's offense.
Yeah.
Where, he's had the luxury of the other running backs coming in and having success. Now, you just lost Brandon Ayuk for the whole season.
You got to have talent at some level in order to enhance the abilities of your offense, whatever that intellect is, whatever that creativity is, whatever that innovation is. There is a necessary requirement of talent to be able to facilitate and execute that vision, right?
Mm-hmm.
Lacking that talent, you're still going to struggle. Just like what we're seeing, all the talent in the Browns roster before injuries and acquisitions or acquiescence, if you will. And conversely, if you have talent but unable to make use of it, you are in the same boat. And listen, real quick, we got to bring this up. We got to bring it to a boat because we've been on this way too long. I started because I was hot about what I saw from what I heard from the Browns fans. I was, like I tend to say, I was unreasonably angry and unreasonably attached to that response. But this is what it gets you. These are gladiators. For our entertainment, you mentioned the phrase gladiators because this is what it is. It's modern day gladiators. They give their lives for our entertainment in a real way, just like what we talk about on the turnbuckle, right? Which is what we do on Monday nights, and we got to bring it forward to what our fans are coming to expect from us for tonight. So our fans expect us to talk about people putting their lives on the line in a very real way for our entertainment, right?
Right. You brought up
Foremen and electricians, foremen and electricians and steel workers and mill workers and coal miners. They put their lives on the line every day for our lights, gas, buildings, and houses, right?
Absolutely.
And it almost makes sense. It does make sense, and that's a very meaningful sacrifice or risk that they're taking for our livelihood. These guys are doing it just for us to laugh and for us to talk about you deserve it because he gets injured. All right, bet. You an a-hole to the people on your shift and you tear your ACL trying to lift up a pallet or something like that. Yeah, do you deserve that? Yeah, if your subordinates or whatever, we're talking about you deserve that instead of helping you up. Oh yeah, people getting fired, lawsuits are getting filed, and everything else. But nah, because he $230 million, because he got a jersey on and he entertains us on that grassy knoll, on that grassy stadium. Oh, it's okay, it's acceptable. He deserves it. All right, man. You know what? Browns fans yesterday was acting like a bunch of ant bullies. Thank you for letting me get that off my chest. Sorry, fans. I had to get there. I couldn't let that sit. Let's do some turnbuckle. Let's do some pro wrestling, man.
Well, and again, it's going to be a very active waiver wire. Again, Say Flowers got hurt, as you pointed out. Mike Evans got hurt.
Mike Evans got hurt, yeah.
Did you hear that? Brandon Ayuk got hurt.
Yes.
Juju Smith-Schuster got hurt.
Right.
Am I missing anybody? I'm sure I am, because matter of fact, Jordan Whittington. For those that were looking for starts, like me, who thought I dodged a bullet because I actually dropped Juju.
Yep.
Picked up Whittington because he
Yep.
went off the week before.
Yep.
Basically, like the 2 weeks that I didn't have him, he went off.
Yep.
So I'm like, oh, okay, Cooper Kupp's not going to play. So Whittington in, Kupp out.
Yep.
0. Devontae Smith didn't get hurt, just didn't play. Thankfully. I mean, I'll take that. I'll take the 0.8.
Yeah.
Like there were some duds out there fantasy wise, but yeah, as far as transitioning this back at the ranch, on the
let me say one more last thing. Let me say one more last thing. Let me say one more last thing. Yeah, right now it's looking pretty good. Our pick 'em, for me at least. Yeah, I did pretty well again this week, but I digress. Go ahead. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about this wrestling. Let's talk about this wrestling. What? Oh no, wait a minute. What happened, bro?
Lamar Jackson just put up 63 points on me, man.
Oh,
that's bad.
that's really bad.
Yeah.
Oh no.
Damn, I lost.
I'm sorry, bro. I won. We gotta meet on the same page, man.
The Ravens put up 40. Like it was just 20 to 14.
Yeah, it was
41 to 18.
41 to 18. That it was listen, that game started. The way the game started is not the way this game should have ended. My goodness. And I had it right. And I wagered a 15 spot on it. All right, man. Let's get into wrestling. I'm sorry, guys. Let's get into it.
Yeah, lesson learned on USL League One. They lost to a team with a 16-year-old. And you had look, the last place team. Can I just say that real quick? Like, man, like if I'm sorry, guys, like you better hope I never get a coaching license. And I was close. Like, there's some part of the certifications that done because I'm sorry. I like, hey, bro, they would lose the ball and then kind of like do this. Man, you got smacked in the back of the head. There would have been assault.
Yeah.
Like, I am too old school for that. Like, nope. You can come sit next to me. You turn the ball up. Like, dude only had like 7 possessions, 4 of which were immediate turnovers.
What?
I was like, get him off the field. Get him off the field. There's no way you're a starter on this team. I watched that and I was like, man, this feels like high school.
Yeah.
Like it feels like, because now high school, like if you play MLS Next as an example, you're not allowed to play high school soccer. So to me, like obviously there's a talent drop. And so I'm watching these dudes. And again, there's a couple different, like, they're guys in their late 20s and mid 20s, adults.
Right.
Doing that, the whole hum.
No,
I lost the ball. Oh well. No. You would.
No.
Oh man, for every shoulder shrug will be a lap.
Right. You got to get that out.
You better hope you didn't have a kink or something because you'd be. Don't even think about kicking a ball.
Oh boy, for sure.
Yeah,
man.
Coach Payne. There you go.
Coach Payne. Right. Let's get into it, man.
Yeah. Because I'm gonna end up. I'm gonna need blood pressure medication or something. So here's what we got. Trump made an appearance on Taker's podcast. He mentioned that he got a call from Iraq after he got shot.
Diplomacy in action.
Yeah, and he goes, hey, I didn't think the dude liked me. So he goes, pass that along, that I appreciate him, reaching out. Additionally, he also got to meet another politician, I guess, these days. Yeah. The dead are now politicians or something like that, where it actually fits, I guess, if you think about it. Dad jokes with Kane. And, of course, he was with him as well, reiterating. Glenn is, he's in Tennessee. There you go. All right, so you get Kane. So In addition to that, now transitioning to some other former superstars. Here we go. Our first, tell me you did not just say that,
All
belongs
right.
to none other than Tommy Dreamer,
Tommy
okay,
Dreamer.
who
Yeah.
says that Brock Lesnar breaking The Undertaker's streak was the worst decision in history. Okay, and this quote, I still to this day would say the worst decision in professional wrestling history. I just don't think Brock needed it at that time either. The streak was as popular and as a draw for WrestleMania. Never would have done it. Brock didn't need it. You always do something like that for someone who needs it. I wish it never happened.
I'm glad you read that quote in context. The problem that I have with Tommy Dreamer statement is that he says it's the worst decision in history. You know what? In context, I agree with him to a large extent. Brock didn't necessarily need it. That's why I thought that the year before, the year of 20 and Punk, CM Punk would have needed that. Brock didn't necessarily do it. The big however is, because it's professional wrestling, who would have made it believable? Right? What I mean by that is, what guy who needed it would we have accepted that loss from? During that time, certainly Triple H wouldn't have needed it. I would almost say Shawn Michaels kind of needed it because we needed to be able to see that Shawn Michaels on his own could defeat The Undertaker, given the outside of the ring, if we're shooting on it, given the utmost respect that they have for each other as workers, Shawn Michaels and The Undertaker, given the history of Shawn Michaels kind of changing, his character in the behind the scenes, maturing in the way he did, him returning to the top of the cream of the crop in terms of performers at the high level, at the main event, Mr. Main Event, Shawn Michaels. I would say maybe he could have used it, but who else would you have given that to at a time that would have needed it, that you would have believed it from? I'm telling you like this: under no circumstances did Roman Reigns need it. But if he did, it should have been a case of, in my opinion, The Undertaker should have only ever lost once. And if the streak had been broken by Brock, it should have remained broken. I shouldn't say that. If the streak had been broken by Brock, it should have remained only Brock. Right? There's only certain guys who have done certain things. Only Brock should have been able to say that. Brock and Roman, it didn't work. It went flat. For matter of fact, they booed the heck out of him. I remember watching the WrestleMania. They booed the heck out of Roman when he did it. They didn't boo Brock when he did it. Not necessarily. They was in shock and awe. So for as much as Brock didn't need it, if it were to happen, who could you believe it happened? I'll tell you this: if Cena had done it, Cena probably would have got the pop, but Cena didn't need it either. If Randy Orton had it done it, he probably got the pop, but Randy Orton didn't need it either. The point is, these are the only three guys in the business, perhaps same as Punk, who you would have believed in the story that they were telling by having Undertaker drop in the streak. So for that's the only part that I disagree with Tommy Dreamer on. I don't think it's the worst decision, and I think putting it on Brock, somebody had to be believable. Not even maybe rest his soul. If Bray Wyatt had arrived in time, when I say arrived, if he had become the guy that we thought he was going to become, if he had arrived a bit earlier, that would have been believable. But who else? That's the challenge I would have for Tommy Dreamer is who else? Do you think the streak should have kept going until 2017, 2018, 2019?
If you're asking me, I would have said yes, it should have kept going.
I don't think so, because I mean, understand also what was happening. The Undertaker deciding to say, "Hey, this needs to happen," or willing to go with it, is because the Undertaker knew his body. How many more years do we have?
But here's the thing, though. Like in my case, like you brought up Randy. Randy was the legend killer. So if you were going to do that, there was no more appropriate individual that would have still been a Hall of Famer if you were going to end it. I get the concept that Brock was still someone in his prime, a little bit younger, had already clearly made his impression on the brand. I just, if I had to pick somebody else, that's where I would have struggled a little bit. But just immediately Randy Orton and maybe Roman, only because of the believability of it.
Remember, this is 2014, 2017, right? Randy Orton was being force fed on us at that time as the number one. It wasn't head of the table Randy Orton. I mean, Roman Reigns. It wasn't head of the table Roman Reigns. Head of the table Roman Reigns, probably largely believable. I mean, head of the table Roman Reigns I think he's got the advantage over Brock in terms of wins, right? Doesn't he have 2 wins over Brock in title matches? Roman Reigns.
Yep.
That version of Roman Reigns would have been believable, but it's about what does the landscape of the business look like at the time? The streak ending the manner that it did, when it did, suddenly, shockingly, was absolutely a great move for the business. If you're saying someone else should have done it, someone else could have done it, I don't know who could, pardon me for restating the same thing. I don't know who else was there that you would have believed in had they done it, except for another already first ballot Hall of Famer. Everybody we said could have done it is going to be a Hall of Famer. Randy Orton,
Shawn Michaels,
Triple H, Brock. Well,
yeah, but here's the thing though with Shawn is that if you think about it, what they wrestled 4 times, 4 times
at WrestleMania. They've done 2 WrestleManias together,
right? But weren't all of their matches like pay-per-views or
yes.
PLEs?
Well, not all of them, but yeah, they're right. 2 of them. Remember, Shawn Michaels matches are among the first introductions of Kane. Remember, Kane is responsible for Shawn Michaels getting 2 pins over the Undertaker in matches. So, yeah, is that right? Is it 2, or for sure one of them in your house?
Well, now I'm googling.
Yeah, find out. I think Kane is responsible for 2 wins. But Kane helped Shawn Michaels with 2 wins over the Undertaker. And when I say help, I don't necessarily, you get what I'm saying? The way the match came out, Kane got in the way. And Kane cost the Undertaker 2 victories over Shawn Michaels. At least. Okay,
so I'm talking, I'm going to say one-on-ones here because it looks like that there's 15 total.
One-on-one.
Because a triple threat, no, I'm not counting.
Wait a minute, what triple threat?
This was John Cena and The Undertaker defeat Chris Jericho and The Big Show and DX.
No, we ain't talking about that.
Royal
we talking
Rumble,
about like head to head. We talking about the match. Yeah, we talking about head to head, like mano a mano, like the way wrestling ultimately should be. If you're not talking about
yep, we got Royal Rumble, the casket match.
Yes.
Then we have
the casket match. Yeah. So the because Kane was in the casket.
They only wrestled each other 4 times.
Exactly. And the 2 wins that Shawn Michaels has, Kane interfered.
Yeah, you had the no contest.
The Hell in a Cell. Kane came out.
And
then the casket match. Kane was in the casket.
Yeah, WWF In Your House 17 was the no contest. Then you
wait. In Your House 17, like the number 17, not 2000. Yeah. In Your House 17. Got you.
This was 97.
Yep.
And then you had 98. I'm sorry. Well, wait a minute. Then you had the number one contender match where he beat him. But again, that's WWF In Your House Bad Blood, which is at St. Louis.
Right. That's the Hell in a Cell match.
And then you had like I said, the casket match. So there's 3.
Oh, okay.
Then Mania 25.
Mm-hmm.
And then what is that? 30 or 26?
Yeah. They ran it back.
Yeah. And and then Undertaker wins.
Undertaker wins both. So again, to beat the streak, Shawn Michaels could have used it because he would have had that one clean, he would have had that clean victory over the Undertaker. But again, that's a first ballot Hall of Famer. So is Randy Orton. So is John Cena. So should be Brock Lesnar, but there's a cloud over him now.
Well, right. You could have never prepared for that. I mean,
right. But I'm saying, yeah. So anybody else who was a guy that heck, it should have been Sting. Be honest with you. That would have been a shocker.
Sting?
Yep. If you want to put somebody over, but he didn't want to put anybody over. He buried.
Hang on, but if I remember correctly, there was at least in a rumor mill. I don't remember Randy ever confirming this, but I thought in Mania 21, he was supposed to get over.
I think that was the case. He was supposed to, but I guess they changed.
Randy declined.
That would make sense. I think that's the story I remember.
So this is where I have a problem with it. That's kind of the why. If the legend killer declines to kill the legend, then you can't let somebody else kill the legend.
Why can't you? He declined. Listen, the streak had to be broken.
No, it didn't.
Yeah, it did.
If it did, then bring him back as like a bag of bones and have him, cement someone else's legacy who's now about to surpass him.
Who?
Well, again, that person probably isn't even born yet.
Right. I see what you're saying, but so
oh no, somebody's going to come interfere, and during this, in order to try to prevent him from beating the streak, and then the ultimate pop.
Yeah,
despite him being looking like the old man from Family Guy with a walker.
Oh yes. Oh, rest in peace. Yeah, right.
Doing a tongue.
Rest in peace.
Oh no.
Yeah, bro.
Anyway,
can't do that.
So
right.
Nevertheless, look, I don't necessarily, I won't go as far as to say it was the worst decision in the company.
It wasn't the worst. It wasn't the worst. It was not the worst.
Look, I challenge that
when David Arquette
week
is a WCW heavyweight champion and Vince Russo is a WCW world heavyweight champion, the streak being broken by a freight train, by a character of the caliber of Brock Lesnar is not the worst decision ever. As long as those things exist, there's no way that what we saw, the believability of Brock beating the Undertaker, the real world implications of the Brock beating the Undertaker. There's no way that's the worst decision ever. I disagree with Tommy Dreamer.
No, and again, I challenge that every week with Name That Superstar.
Yeah, right.
So just keep that in mind.
All right,
tuned for tonight's.
I'm just struggling with those. All right.
So, diving into our next, tell me you did not just say that.
Yep.
You see those two up there?
I see no two up there.
You do not? Oh,
I see.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
That's right. My bad. There you go.
Yeah. Oh boy. Paul
Oh,
Levesque and Vincent Kennedy McMahon.
That's right. That is correct. And there is another. Tell me you did not just say that arises from those two.
Mhm.
And it actually comes from none other than Triple H's longtime friend and Click member, Kevin Nash.
Oh, really? You?
So he said it on this week's podcast that Triple H would have left WWE by now if Vince remained and was not removed from his power. So I'm going to read you the quote here. My whole thing is, it's just like, who's the greatest of all time? It's just like, you know, absolutely there's a 1A and a 1B. Whether you're a Flair guy or you're a Hogan guy, then there's the business aspect guy. Is he talking about me? Anyway, and I say the best run of anybody would be Triple H from all standpoints of the business. There's no comparison. Nash continued. I think one of the reasons is because he's so good at what he does on a daily basis. As soon as he got his hands on the controls, bleep, expletive changed. The product became, it was just night and day. Then Vince almost tried to kibosh it and went through all that bleep again. I think at that point, if it wouldn't have went the way it did, I think Paul would have walked. Steph already had. I mean, we never had the conversation, but I know Paul. I mean, I've talked to Paul about some other things. I know some other information that made me feel really good when I heard how Endeavor TKO felt about Paul. D. Gully, what the heck do you say to that?
Man, you know, Kevin Nash, I've got a buddy that reminds me of Kevin Nash when he speaks. You know what he's saying, but you don't know what he's saying until after he said it. And after you still gotta, it take a couple of takes before you kind of comprehend what he's saying. Like, I heard you quote him word for word. I'd have to hear Kevin Nash in this vernacular. I have to hear Kevin Nash in his speech to really grasp what he's saying. If I understand correctly, he's basically suggesting that it had come to a head. Paul's vision for the business would have not been allowed had Vince McMahon remained. And so Paul, almost like Shane, would have left. So, pardon me for restating the obvious in terms of repeating what Kevin Nash said. I just did that just to make sure I I could verbalize and I can understand what he was saying. I find it hard to believe that Paul would have left. But again, he's privy to a conversation with him and Paul or him and Triple H. So that's very real. He could be coming from a real place. Like, yo, I know what my guy said to me. And in so many words, he would have left. Now the question is, would he have been in the AEW, or what would he have done with that? Because here's what I can understand about Paul Levesque. I don't know what he does outside of wrestling. I don't know what he does outside of sports.
Does he play pickleball? Is that what
you're if he could not run between the squared circle, run the ropes, walk to the entrance, bring in a crowd, what does Paul Levesque do outside of professional wrestling? Is he a real estate mogul? Is he a media? What is he without being like? This is his life, and I believe he's almost said as much. And I'm almost willing to bet on that, because I can tell you, I believe Kevin Nash has a different opinion about Paul's career than a lot of the fans. We cheer for him now, but how many people have said that the Attitude Era was defined by Triple H?
Well, now wait a minute.
If we can survey 100 people,
I'm on record.
No.
And
You said that. No.
Feathers, including yours.
No.
Yeah, you were peacocking.
No. It was because of a certain. It was a certain question that you asked, or a certain hypothesis.
I said you could remove Stone Cold Steve
but that's not.
in place Triple H there.
No, you can't.
Yes, you can.
Not in the
proven.
Not in the context. No, not in the
call.
No, not in the not in the context of that. In the context of that question is whose career could you remove, right? In the context of that question, yes, you are absolutely right. But the fact is, hey, what did Kanye West say? People ask me, what would I do if I didn't win? Well, I guess we'll never know.
Oh, I thought you were doing the Taylor.
No.
Yeah, I'm gonna let you have your moment.
No. But what I'm saying is that the question that was asked at that time, you're absolutely right. Whose career? Because it happened by accident. If the curtain call doesn't happen, there is no King of the Ring. But
there's a King of the Ring, but the King of the Ring is Triple H.
So that did not happen. What happened was the curtain call. Hold on. What happened was the curtain call happened. Therefore, Steve Austin was King of the Ring. Therefore, Austin 316 was born, and the rest is history. In the Attitude Era, who's saying Triple H above The Rock and Steve Austin?
But why? It explains why Triple H was the third wheel in all of it, because he was supposed to be the
I'm gonna ask you this question again.
The ketchup here.
I'm gonna ask you this question again. In the Attitude Era, what are the two names
right now?
Tell me, who's saying Triple H? You're talking about
here.
Listen, you telling me in the Attitude Era it was Triple H over The Rock or Stone Cold Steve Austin?
No, but what I'm saying is they're almost like saying the 80s in the NBA was only the Lakers Celtics, forgetting that the Pistons were right there. Triple H very much was the Pistons.
Exactly. Who's picking them over the Lakers and the Celtics in the 80s?
But what if you would have known that the 83 NBA Finals was supposed to be not Dr. J, but Triple H? You would have been like, oh my gosh, that changes everything.
Recognizing
because now there's no Bird anymore.
Okay, recognizing that it could have. But what was it?
But in spite of that, what I was pointing out in that moment, and reiterating right now, was because it was actually written that way, in the way that we know how it played out, that the rest of the timeline would have existed if you pull Austin 316 out. It may not have been as explosive. It may have had far less beers that were victims. But
that was in context to that question. And I don't dispute that. You made that argument to me that
right.
We are an incomplete pass away from history changing, right?
So
and that was
your point now.
My point right now is because of that incomplete pass, there was a turnover on downs, and the team took it and ran with
the drive. Yeah.
Okay, that's what I'm saying. Ernest Byner fumbled in the end zone. Triple H fumbled in the end zone.
That's why he's not
Roger Craig, right? So all that being said, I'm saying Triple H's life is wrestling. So much so that I think this is why he's able to sustain the fact that, I'll put it this way. Triple H is like Kobe Bryant. There's The Rock. There is Stone Cold. There is Hulk Hogan. There are all of the guys that people will say is the greatest of all time. Triple H is never that guy. Just like Kobe Bryant is now in his posthumously is referred to as perhaps the GOAT, but he's always missing out on the conversation. However, Kobe Bryant knows what he's done for the game of basketball, what he's done to his craft. His work ethic and his commitment to the craft is undeniable, that he doesn't care if anybody calls him the greatest, because he knows for himself and he knows among his peers who he is. So he don't never have to argue with a beat writer, or he don't have to argue with the dirt sheets. Triple H knows that. I feel like Triple H is self-aware enough to know that people will never pick me over The Rock. People will never pick me over Austin, or people will never pick me over Hogan. They might never even pick me over John Cena. They might not pick me over Brock. They may not pick me over The Undertaker.
Hang on a freaking second. Hang on. Who was responsible for them winning the Monday Night Wars? It wasn't The Rock. It wasn't Stone Cold. Oh, no. It was the Takeover.
It was what?
No, dude. You better give DX the props that they actually deserve here, because they don't go pull that stunt. The rest doesn't matter. You can look, there is video footage of them saying how nervous they were because they're looking at the arena. Not a lot of people there. It ain't sellout. We'll get to that in the modern context.
Telling you, I'm not saying
DX doesn't pull that stunt. And I've said this too. It's one gate opening. From his buddy
he was ready.
Quoted here.
Scott Hall and Nash. Yes, Scott Hall and Nash say
actually laying it on them on their cameras, on their airwaves,
right,
from it completely going left.
Yes, like okay, we talking about we were a red, we were a on those gates. It's probably a green button. We were a green button away. Yeah, that green. I know it's a many afraid. Yeah, that green button with the arrow up, or it might have been a black button. It might even been a black one because it may have just been. Yeah,
everybody who played GoldenEye right now is hear the sound effect going up.
Yes, so. Understand how important that was. That moment was to the Monday Night Wars, to the entire legacy of professional wrestling, or to WWE's legacy. I recognize that. What I'm saying is Triple H, I think, is self-aware enough to know people won't put him where he should go, but he's okay with that because he knows his importance.
His honor.
He knows his importance to the business. So he's okay with people saying, not you. Like I said, Kobe Bryant never cared who said he was the GOAT.
Kobe never was sitting where Jeannie Buss is, and that's the issue I have with that. Even Mike tried his hand at that. Wait a minute now. Wait a minute.
Time out. Well, whoa, where we going? Where we going?
Well, yeah, we don't want my take on that.
Walking that line, boy. Walking that line.
I'm certainly tight-roping.
Man, listen. What I'm saying is Triple H knows. I believe he's aware of where people rank him. And I think he knows that. And I think he commonly wears that as a badge of honor because he knows his contributions to the business that others get credit for, perhaps even like you. He knows what it cost him for that curtain call, and he knows absent that curtain call, we may not even know who Austin is. So he is self-aware and self-assured, like I know where I'm at in this business.
Look at this man's contributions outside of like his immediate impact, right? Because like you just pointed out, despite him not being king of the ring, him being essentially crashing that party, still in spite of that.
Yep.
His role in the rehabilitation to some extent of Shawn Michaels.
Yep.
Okay. Well, I mean, like I could stop there, right away and just be like, well, wait a minute. That certainly would have a completely alternate timeline. Hello, Dave Bautista.
Right.
Like, who was more? Ask Dave Bautista who was more instrumental. Obviously, he's going to point to Flair and he's going to point to Hunter.
Yes. These are
Randy Orton. Imagine that, Randy Orton. Like I'm sitting here, and you like I get it. The guy to his left, our right, may have been the literal puppet master. But what this dude was probably the best unpaid general manager that ever existed.
Perhaps. Yeah, perhaps he is. Perhaps he is.
Because look, if this is like we've watched, like, and we've credited Eric Bischoff with dealing with too much, honestly, but he couldn't handle the personalities like that.
Right.
Hunter was paid as a wrestler.
Yeah.
And like, if you ever want to know the character traits of an effective leader, one of the things right away is managing personalities.
Yeah. Correct. Managing. Yes. Yeah. I think that's the ultimate trait, because when do you have time to do anything else? Once you get to this level, when do you have time to do anything else?
Right. We don't get here. So what I'm saying is, not only do we not get here, but if he walks, I thought it was an interesting take, because I don't know how much out of the loop I was or how public it was of Steph's kind of absence. Right.
Okay.
I remember her coming back, obviously, for Mania, right? But I think it was always more the kids thing, and she mentioned it was a real thrill for her kids to actually see her perform like that.
Okay.
So, sure, one could have assumed it was mom things, not a rift internally.
Right.
So where do they end up? Is Shane going to AEW merely just potentially good timing for that it wasn't the trio?
Hold on, run that. What you mean?
To Kevin Nash's point.
Okay.
If this stuff doesn't happen, right? These charges don't.
Okay, got you.
Right. The alleged, right, doesn't occur.
Right. If Vince McMahon isn't,
he's not walking away on it for any other reason outside of the TKO board removing him.
And then when they removed him, he bought it. Because when they did remove him, he found his way back in there.
Correct.
Okay, so absent these allegations, Vince McMahon doesn't leave.
Correct. Which at that point, the rift is already still there.
Wait a minute. Do they even sell the TKO with that?
I think they were going to anyway.
You think so?
Yeah. I think, again, Vince, I don't want to say he knew the writing was on the wall. I think he faced his own mortality. I think that at the same time, Hunter and everyone else was looking at it and saying, this is a smart business move to set us up for the next 50 to 100 years.
Right. But if it's your company, if it is your idea, if it is your
life, right. But how? Okay, look, I talk about a changing ecosystem regularly.
Okay.
Across pretty much all of the sports entertainment space.
Okay.
And one thing was glaring to me, which is again, no different than your latest Toy Story movie, which is going to be about toys versus tech, right? It is the versus tech. So we are quoting regularly, whether it's somebody's take or a leaked image, that you're now battling what you didn't have to face very often 20 years ago.
Okay.
And you're not competing for attention the way you had to 25 years ago. And so to me, the deal was somewhat inevitable, because not just because of, I look at the WWE network as something that was somewhat ahead of its time. It was a little premature.
Right.
But it was something that could have and should have actually thrived in a more modernistic way, it probably would have nestled its way in some partnership with, in a similar fashion, the way it's ended up anyway.
Right.
So again, the point of all of that is, we're at a point now where I think, yes, Hunter would have ended up outside of
WWE.
And potentially, and naturally, Steph would have followed suit, and of course, Shane would have absolutely been all elite. And part of really what makes the way I feel here becomes so relevant is I'm going to show you something. So right away, NXT, what started as again, I want to say they're on like episode 3 or 4 on the CW.
Yes.
Now, I'm not going to knock that network at all because I find myself on weekends regularly watching insert sports thing here. So,
Okay.
Again, if it's the right program, I'll watch it. So, I don't believe it has anything to do with that TV deal, but instead, that's them booking the old ECW thing.
Okay.
Now, again, we're a couple episodes into the CW deal. All right, why I'm pointing this out is right away some of the things that begin to come to mind that I don't think is being really talked about nearly enough is the fact that attendance, I said an emerging landscape, right?
Okay.
And a rapidly changing ecosystem.
All right.
So I'm going to show you this right here from Dave Meltzer. Here you go, Gully. NXT did 639,000. 0.18. Basically back to USA Network numbers in week 3 on CW. Yankees game did a 1.28 on cable. NXT beat Fox, but lost the other networks. All of those people who got furious and insulted me week 1, when I said this thing would happen by week 4, you certainly can and won't apologize or learn that this is my field. And of course, here's AEW's numbers with the baseball playoffs.
Okay, see, this is where
I'm going to keep going here because I'm not done. I'm not even done yet.
All right.
Okay, now you have AEW Collision.
Okay.
This is in Cedar Rapids, Iowa. And this is from 4 days ago, Gully.
All right.
This is the available seating.
Hold on. Wait. Available tickets, 714. Current setup, 1666. So it's only set up for 1,000 people, 1,600 people.
Mm-hmm.
And they currently have 714 available.
Yeah. Now, ready for this? I love me some independents.
Right.
Here we go. Winnipeg Pro Wrestling Rumble in the Burt. This is this Thursday in Burton Cummings Theater, Winnipeg, Manitoba. Look at the available tickets, D Gully.
Wait. Go back up. They have 357 available. Current setup 1582. Tickets distributed 1225. Okay. Man, I applaud your ability to find these numbers and find these resources and find these stats, bro.
And it leads to another interesting take. So again, this is from Wrestling Scoops saying, per PW Insider, Fans were ejected from last night's Dynamite after taking photos of empty arenas where the fans are meant to sit.
Okay.
So, do we have a problem to pick?
Do we have? All right.
Don't be a mess.
Nah, you got it. You got it. When they film, all right. So when they record shows from ECW, is that because it's gonna stay there, or what does that mean? Like, is NXT planning to travel?
So a moment ago, when we had the Triple H and the TKOs up and that type of thing.
Yes.
And for those that have been with us for a little while, again, I appreciate all of you guys on X, on Twitch. I see you guys on YouTube as well and Facebook. Definitely feel free to leave your comments and thoughts. Also, obviously, we dive into things a little bit different than some of your traditional takes, right? So, from my end, I've pointed out being kind of the business savant, if you will, that this model, the historical model, the Vince model.
Okay.
The Vince, when he breaks the agreement model, which is not going to other people's territories. That this model had never... It worked then. It doesn't work today.
Okay.
And so something that, like, all you got to do is watch one episode of Shark Tank, people, and you'll start looking at things slightly different. And one of the first things you'll ask yourself, if you were putting money into anything, is how can I make it cheaper?
Right.
So it can be more profitable. How do I get more margin out of what's occurring?
Right.
Well, again, we have a TKO deal that's in a similar place. I don't have to walk through that part of it. But why I keep honing in on that specific deal is right now, I believe we're on a collision course for demand that is clearly down. So again, I get it. We're in an election year, and a lot of people I've heard people say the economy's great. I've heard people tell me that it's the worst they've ever seen in their lifetimes.
Right.
You get contrasting perspectives.
Yeah.
What is consistent as it pertains to this space? Because even tonight's Raw, from what I saw, was not a complete sellout.
Right.
So even the A program still is not consistently selling out. They'll probably say they did, but there were like 1,100 tickets still available.
That's why every time they do a pay-per-view, they talk about the tickets. This is the largest crowd ever. This is the most tickets we ever sold ever. So if I'm not understanding correctly,
right.
Bad Blood in Atlanta was the best pay-per-view selling ever. That's for that show. That's amazing.
And for that market,
yeah,
it's actually quite impressive also, because they historically, outside of college football, don't really show up in the Super Bowl. That's why the Atlanta Hawks struggled.
Right.
Countless. Look, I don't have to insert the team, but that market has struggled with grasping consistency within the sports space. Right. And so I'm looking at it and saying this model has to change. And if NXT is doing those numbers, to Meltzer's point, again, it's beating AEW. So it's not exactly like your litmus test. You are still outperforming it. So if you wanted to pop a bottle of champagne, you could.
Yeah.
Or you could look at it as the way that many do and say, well, it's not exactly great, regardless of the fact that you're beating someone.
Right.
So I've talked about the death of house shows.
Yeah.
You are like the solution actually is maximizing your basically your teams digitally to provide the content in front of the relevant audience.
Okay, see, what I see is
Mhm.
that I see that this is the product of an expansion of the product. And we talk about sports entertainment, professional wrestling, and newer, innovative ways to attempt to get an audience. So I see this more like I don't look at it as a sign of trouble. And I guess that's probably why I'm not an executive. I'm not in a boardroom. I'm looking at it like, oh, okay, there's a lot of new activity here. There hasn't been stasis. And in a fickle market, a fickle industry, in my opinion, such as modern day TV media consumption, 4 weeks tell you what? How you gonna hit on that? How many people really got CW? I only knew, for what it's worth, I only really recognized CW or Raw was going or WWE was gonna have stuff on CW. I only knew that because I watched Family Feud reruns from 7 to 8 on the network. When else am I watching CW?
Well, I told you there's some games on there. I watched some NWSL. I watched, I believe, USL soccer. I watched.
You see, you watching USL soccer.
I watched
you
college
stuff
football,
I don't even know
Division
about.
One college football.
Division One college football.
Yes,
Who?
sir.
Who?
So shout out to the CW execs. I'll Google.
No.
Google's
What teams? What teams are you watching? What teams are you watching on Division One college football on the CW? Tell me, what team are you watching?
Hang on. I'll find out. CW Sports. Let's see.
You ain't even watching the Big Five franchise, are you?
Who
are you watching?
Well, the Inside the NFL, matter of fact, is on there. ACC and and what's left of the Pac-12 are on there.
Ooh, it's like, you talk about the people at the party who don't have rides home. That's what you talk about, bro.
Hang on, bro. Every now and then the torta. Never mind.
Right. He's talking about people at the party who don't have rides home. What I'm saying is, it is so the landscape is so vast, and things continue to switch and dynamically change. You don't have stasis, and lacking stasis. And when you have stasis is where you can reliably or more reliably understand the effect of a behavior in an environment. Professional wrestling is new to CW. So new, in fact, people don't watch CW. Like I don't know. I don't watch any programming from the CW. I just know about wrestling. And
so hang on a second. So wouldn't that be more impressive then that they were able to beat AEW numbers in less than a month based on what you just said?
Perhaps, but they beat the numbers, but it was like 5 people watched the show, but only 4 people watched AEW. Meanwhile, 20 people watched something else.
No, but hang on, dude. In a sales space.
But this is what I'm saying, because this, all right, and this is where I say I haven't been in a boardroom, so I really maybe not understand what I'm hearing. What it sounded like Meltzer was saying is,
yeah, and I'll pull that back up here.
He's saying these numbers is poor, period. And these numbers are terrible, period. Oh yeah, so whoop-de-doo, NXT beat another poor showing from AEW, but these numbers are poor, period. And I'm suggesting, bro, you're talking about a static you're talking about a continually episodic program versus the tournament, the postseason tournament for two different sports versus baseball and the WNBA finals. WNBA having better attendance and better viewership than it's had in its history. So a brand new episodic show that's going to continue to supposed to last forever did poor versus the tournament of a series of a.
No. He's saying it did better.
What is he saying?
No, that's what I'm saying. Look at the quote again.
Okay.
So again,
I'm gonna read this out loud because I need to read it out loud. All right, so I'm gonna read this out loud. I'm gonna start from the beginning. Okay, NXT did 639K / 0.18, basically back to USA Network numbers in week 3 on CW. The Yankees game did a 1.28 on cable. NXT beat Fox but lost to all other networks. All those people who got furious and insulted me when I said this would happen by week 4, you certainly can and won't apologize or learn that this is my field. All right, then help me understand what I'm missing, because it sounds like what he's saying is it's settled down and it's poor again. Nobody's watching. NXT beat Fox but lost to everything else. NXT beat a network that's not showing postseason play, but lost to everything else that's showing postseason tournaments.
No. It still beat AEW. Its closest rival.
Oh, okay. So he's comparing. He's saying NXT, the upstart brand, beat the AEW. Okay, I guess, and this is to counter the idea that people believe more in AEW than a WWE product or a WWE a developing product, is what he's saying. Like, there are diehards that think AEW is a better product than NXT. Is that the connotation that what he's arguing against?
Well, and for those that were specifically saying that the move to the CW wouldn't be that it would be a disaster, and it's already in under a month basically revived the numbers to what they used to be.
Okay, all right, so scroll down again. So let me read that second tweet. AEW did 633K .20 with baseball playoffs, and WNBA playoffs has the leading competition. NXT did 639.18, basically back to USA Network numbers. And we see, that's where I'm confused. This isn't my field, because I'm not understanding what his argument is. I know you trying to make it make sense to me, but I'm reading and seeing something that you're not seeing.
639 versus 633.
All right, so I see that comparison. All right, cool. So NXT beat AEW, but then he loses me where he talks about, all right, NXT didn't beat nothing else.
He's saying that in spite of a switch of provider,
okay, it
still was able in under a month to go on and beat its rival.
Okay.
That, to your point, would have been a lesser than. It beat one of the main networks, if you will. And it only lost to basically, to your point, to the point you were making, which was the New York Yankees.
Yeah.
So all the people that were basically trash talking him on X, saying that wouldn't happen, that it was going to fail, that it wasn't going to translate. Yes, with the move that it has.
Okay, so even the point that I made, so that's even replying back to me, who had made the remark just moments ago about
watching CW. Exactly.
Oh, okay. All right, got you. Okay, I can understand that now. All right, so
but both of us know that's not exactly a huge number.
Correct.
That's what led to Eric Bischoff's take, of course, not directly, but it was numbers like this. That is why Bischoff said that deal to Fox probably wouldn't happen for AEW because there just isn't enough supportive numbers to follow it.
Right.
But would a McMahon being on board and in charge of it be salivating enough for somebody from Fox to want to bite on it?
Okay, right. Can Shane McMahon, does the McMahon surname or does the McMahon presence? I got it.
Because does the
McMahon effect resonate? Go ahead.
Right, because here's the multi-billion-dollar question, which is, what do you do now for both? I'm not just talking about the one, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, these kids have all the devices in their hands, so they're watching content consistently.
Right.
Okay, it's not. Sadly, our time has came and passed already by technology years. It's like dog years.
Yeah.
So we're talking about Gen Z, Gen Alpha, and keeping their attention.
Got you.
Forget the X's and the millennials. We're done and dusted, dude. We're the boomers now.
Got you.
So the reality of it is that's like what used to work. In spite of this maybe looking good on the surface, you still have to deal with these realities, which is what would have been not even, this is Collision. It's not a house show.
Got you. Yeah.
1,600 people? Then you're booking venues like this. Like, don't get me wrong. There was some brilliance and there was magic that occurred for ECW in those small venues.
Right.
But this is why I'm saying it is one domino further to saying, okay, if this is our ceiling, 639,000 or 750,000 maybe, or can we hit 1 million? This is why I said you have to start really making a deeper effort at blurring the lines between the programs.
Got you.
So
more main roster talent on the show, more appearances.
Basically, if you like this stuff, you're gonna either go see it or you're gonna end up going and seeing your regional stuff with the only opportunity, like, because they're booking venues now, dude, like this one with like 2 weeks notice. That's a whole nother aspect. It's like this isn't not like, oh, we'll be in Detroit in December.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, cool. Like, I got time to plan and get my stuff together in order to get these tickets and go.
Right.
No, I think that's part of the issue, is that I'm not going to blame macroeconomics here. Instead, I'm just going to leave it as they have the same issue, but are facing it a little bit earlier, similar to hockey, similar to baseball.
Yep.
That they now have to figure out how to captivate. Like, this is not just a legacy thing. Oh, my dad watched wrestling, so I'm going to. Because they have to deal with the part that we didn't, which is, oh, I'm watching Drew McIntyre on his Twitter right now.
Right.
He's not hurt. He's in Thailand. Again, that's just an example made up, but they could see behind the curtain.
Sure.
And they're already dealing with the same things that we did 20 plus years ago.
Right.
So there's a tug of war occurring that I wanted to I'll get your final thoughts on it as to where you think, like, are we one step closer to parking the NXT bus at the Performance Center and just having it live streamed on either some combination of the CW or on a Netflix near you at some point.
I do think we're closer to that. I don't necessarily know it's a bad thing because for a time, because again, you know, the talent doesn't have to go experience the rigors of a travel schedule and having to travel and be in a different city and you know, being in a different city and having to give it your same energy night in and night out, especially if you're working on stuff, you're working on something consistently, you know, peeling back the curtain if you're trying to work on your chemistry with your opponent such that you guys can take this feud to the big screen or to the small screen or to the pay-per-views or what have you. Being in one place has its obvious benefits and it does have its drawbacks. I think they're closer to leaning towards having a more consistent like setup, you know, tent or regional a venue, so that way they don't have to travel as much. I think it'd be healthy for the business, or at least for the talent. And by doing so, maybe they can find ways to build momentum for the PLEs to really sell those. Instead of thinking, "Oh, wrestling is always here. It's always here every other week. It's always here. So I'm just going to miss it because it'll always be back here." But then the ratings don't suggest that. So, and the ticket sales don't suggest that. So they don't come back. That's how I feel. I think it's like an ebb and flow. You know, this is the season where things have expanded so much. Now it's a season of contraction. Like what everything you're saying to me reminds me of when I was growing up and I was watching Saturday Night Main Event, or not Saturday Night Main Event, WCW Power Hour. Filmed, it seemed like, from a live studio audience of like 74 people, you know, at 6:05 on Saturdays, right? We could be moving towards the reemergence of that. And like you said, with the streaming, right? With the streaming element, the pandemic did help to reimagine how in which we consume, or the ability to reach an audience. Live streaming, that's pretty new wave. Like, I think there's novelty in that. There's niche in that. There's cool in that, in a sense. Maybe that's worth exploring. But all of these different venues and organizations and ways to access it, while it can become confusing, eventually with some consistency, you'll be able to have different ways to view your product. And I think it'll be helpful. But it is a pretty precarious time right now because it's so much and it's everywhere. And people are not really paying for it because A, they ain't got it. You've seen this economy. And B, if you wanted it, where do you find it? And it's hard to find. You see what I mean?
Oh, 100%. And so with that being said, we will take our first break and then we'll jump back in. We're going to throw a question here at Gully and then dive into tonight's Raw. And so we'll see you in just a few moments.
Cleaning the cracks on your pavement surfaces can take hours and be torturous on your body. Until now. Cracky Weed Removal Tool was designed specifically to clean pavement cracks in a fraction of the time, all while standing up. Cracky's patented design incorporates a two-sided steel blade and is encased by a durable fiberglass shell. Simply use the large end to clean big gaps, then rotate and use the small tip for narrow gaps. Made in the USA, Cracky eliminates weeds to the root and is environmentally friendly. Cracky, save your back while you clean your crack.
What it do, sports fans? It's your man BSJ from the Shop Report. And guess what? The shop is now open for business, baby. If you're on Facebook, go to our fan page, The Shop Report. Click on more and then shop to view all products. Or if you're on Instagram, click on the shop tab to see all our products. I mean, what you want me to do? I'm selling merch here.
It's Kate Cunningham, and you watching the Shop Report. I'm Harvey Diallo, and you watching the Shop Report.
My name's Chris Murray, and you're watching the Shop Report.
You're Jay Knight, you're watching the Shop Report.
It's Max McKee, you're dropping in on the Shop Report.
Barbershop Jay, Quentin Hines, Super Bowl champion. I'm ready. Let's do it. I'm on.
Hi, I'm Mars Edwards from Mercury Stadium, and you're watching the Shock Report.
Hey, I'm Billy Butler, and thank you for watching the Shop Report. Hey guys, I'm Les Norman, former Kansas City Royal, and you're watching the Shop Report.
Commander Brown, Detroit Rivers Mountain Training, and I'm watching the Shop Report.
Hey, this is Doug Flynn of the New York Mets. Well, a few other teams, of course, too. And you're watching the Shop Report.
I'm Matt Ramos, and you're watching the Shop Report.
How you doing? I'm Rajay Davis, and you're watching the Shop Report.
How you doing? This is Nelson Figueroa, former Major League pitcher with a lot of teams. You're about to listen to the Shop Report.
Hey, this is Howard Johnson. You're watching the Shop Report.
I'm Jordan Gudeman, and I'm the founder and CEO of Eddie G's Cookies. I was first diagnosed with a nut allergy when I was young. At the time, there weren't a lot of labeled items that said if there may contain nuts or there are nuts in the food, so my brother and sister and I baked a lot at home, and we enjoyed treats from mixes and things like that, but I noticed that it was not the same as what my friends were enjoying, and I started making up my own recipes. When it was time to pick a career, I decided to start a bakery so I could share my treats with everybody else. When I started creating my recipe, I was taking in all the things that I thought I was missing out on. A soft, chewy center, a crisp outside crust, and a taste that is just like it came out of the oven at a bakery. When I put all those things together, I had come up with a recipe for a dream cookie. Eddie G's Cookies only uses the finest ingredients. We have all natural flavorings, no preservatives, and every cookie is made in a nut-free environment. The best part about Eddie G's Cookies is that they can be delivered right to your door. You can share them or not. We won't tell.
What it do, sports fans? It's your man BSJ from the Shop Report. And guess what? The shop is now open for business, baby. If you're on Facebook, go to our fan page, The Shop Report, click on More, and then Shop to view all products. Or if you're on Instagram, click on the Shop tab to see all our products. I mean, what you want me to do? I'm selling merch here.
All right, and just like that, we are back. And all right, Gully, I'm going to throw this one at you now. Go ahead and pick one guy to feud and eventually defeat LA Knight at Mania.
Bottom right. Easy. You know what? Nah, man. They're doing good, interesting things with Solo. Maybe Solo. Yeah, man. I don't know. Man, Solo. Who do you pick?
You know, with Jacob would be, I like what him and potentially have going on.
Yeah.
So he would be the easy selection. Like if that wasn't going that way,
yep,
then that would probably be one of my, I would say, favorites in order for it to occur. And then Carmelo, on the other hand, I feel like Melo can go kind of I actually feel like there could be a good story there.
You know what? Melo end night, a program going into WrestleMania, I think is the most entertaining. But if we look in context of your question, we'll look at, all right, having the WrestleMania match, what happens? Who does it benefit best at and after WrestleMania? See, Melo and Knight, that feud, to a greater extent, to a greater extent of the feud between LA Knight and AJ Styles leading up to WrestleMania. It'll be entertaining. I think that'll be really great. But perhaps where LA Knight and Melo would kind of, that heat would kind of culminate at WrestleMania, it won't be much needed after that. But then again, the whole purpose of it is having your WrestleMania moment puts you in another stratosphere. Now you're beyond, after LA Knight, you're in that plateau of that mid to late Carter. You're nearing you're in proximity of being a main eventer pretty soon, at a live event, at a premium live event. I say all that to suggest that Fatu and LA Knight is for the purpose of what Fatu will do immediately after a victory at WrestleMania. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
We ain't even give my man in the bottom left corner any love.
Oh, Andrade, he's deserving, but sadly,
be honest with you, what would need to happen is Andrade and Melo should have a few now. Let's give us put them in similar circles. That'll be a great opening card match. If you're looking at WrestleMania, well, and in WrestleMania is 2 nights now. That'll be a great match to fill up a card.
Right. No, again, valid point. I could see Melo in, having that in maybe Survivor Series with LA Knight. I have a feeling he won't have a belt.
See, I'm going to tell you something too. His name is Solo Sikoa. Solo and Fatu should have been a tag team. Not now, because the fracture has already happened. You would need a DeLorean and a flux capacitor in order to make it happen properly. Right? But they should have been a tag team, because I certainly see them and then feuding with the Usos in that way. Being tag team champions, dominating, being the heels to the Usos, and then dominating the other tag teams. That makes a lot of sense. But they've already kind of moved them on. But I think that's a missed opportunity that I don't necessarily know it'll come back to haunt them, but it is certainly, I think, a missed opportunity.
Yeah, I can't disagree. Something I want to get into before we get into tonight's Raw was actually what led up to it abruptly and kind of stole the show, which is this from Samantha Irvin. And again, this is a quote from her Twitter page. WWE Universe, my time has come to an end as your Monday Night Raw ring announcer. I love you all tremendously, and this does not mark the end of my art. I have a lifetime more to share. Thank you to every WWE fan who accepted me. To the women's locker room, you are the most incredible group of people on the face of this earth. I am beyond proud to be your colleague and friend. And then she again goes on to thank, the camera crew and of course, Hunter and countless others. For context, Gully, Ricochet came out and said she's not all elite, guys, so breathe easy.
And what did she leave for? Like, what did she leave for?
Dude, your
Wyatt
guess
was pretty
is
good,
as
but
mine.
yeah. I mean, she got a right to leave. You know, of course she got a right to leave, but yeah, what? Did an opportunity come that she couldn't pass up? It's just, it's puzzling because I didn't see where I saw her only becoming more a part of the what I would call the fabric of the presentation that you see, right? The voice that colors the memories of the live events. For us in the Attitude Era, it's JR and it's JR and the King, and then Michael Cole. You get what I'm saying? The voice that's synonymous with the experiences you remember. She was. I mean, she arrived at that, but I felt like it seemed like it was a lot more that she would have been able to do to reinforce and establish that the memory of her has an announcer and how important, how special that is. So, in her next projects, her next adventures or endeavors, we'll figure out what that is. Well, I'm really curious to see what it is because where you at? Like, that was a great spot. But she knows better for herself than I do, or any of her fans do. It's just just a surprise.
Yeah, I mean, it certainly, I mean, I hope everything's okay. That's kind of the scary part, right? Like,
yeah,
sometimes, when there's cliffhangers like that, like we always kind of want to speculate on, she's all elite, right? Like,
well, remember what she said. If you want to bring that back up one more time.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
I have a lifetime. This does not mark the end of my art. I have a lifetime more to share. So I don't necessarily know it's a health thing or it's just a pivot. But where to where? That's the key. Like, or is she about to start doing movies? Is she? You know what I mean? That could be. Could it be like, hey, she's on the series? She's about to start acting. She's got role. Like, that'd be cool. It's pretty exciting. It's just astounding. Like you walking away, having just arrived at the top, and you walk. You know what I mean? You're walking away. That's the part that's really surprising. And I'm, happy for it. This sounds like this is a move that she wants to make. It sounds like she's got somewhere else that she wants to land, or that she's landing. She's got another opportunity. So good for her.
Right, and that's the thing. So, I will say this: in her absence, we end up with this. So what was old is new again. Welcome back, Lillian.
Yeah.
It's surreal, dude, because remember, like, when I brought her up, her kind of returning and then her giving her like a quick intro.
Yeah.
Like maybe like 2-3 months ago.
Yeah.
Dude,
she had come back, right?
Yeah, like for a second, just like, hey, I was in the neighborhood.
Right.
Now I go back and kind of revisit all of it because she conveniently was available. Like, don't get me wrong. Like a private charter would have gotten her to wherever she needed to be, with the exception of like maybe 1 or 2 locations.
Right.
So there would have been ample time, but it would have taken that more than likely. She wasn't just like traveling with the band.
Right.
So, dude, just I don't know. I thought it was strange because like I didn't pull up every tweet that she like that the true duration of like it was she was thanking everybody.
Okay.
So it seemed genuine, but it seemed like she caught everybody off guard too. But
Yeah,
they did the most logical thing, which is okay, call the person who knows exactly what they're doing.
Mm-hmm.
Even though, as I look, if I'm going to give everybody crap for a botch, then I will stay consistent in that and say, yeah, Lillian screwed up a little bit when she said contender. It's not the end of the world. Who cares?
Right.
Oh my gosh, she's human. It's not 2K. So,
even though you can get some glitches on those games.
Well,
Whoa,
yeah,
boy.
I've seen that LeBron bench thing circulating.
Nah. Oh God, yeah. Or the Madden glitch, the Patrick Mahomes glitch. Did you see that one?
What's that?
The Patrick Mahomes glitch.
No, I have not. Actually.
Oh gosh, some glitch happened where somebody was playing Madden with Patrick Mahomes, and he ended up flat on the ground, convulsing around. Like it's supposed to be a touchdown celebration, but he ends up glitching out and he's just convulsing on the ground, and everybody's celebrating around him. It's hilarious, man.
Oh my. Well,
yeah.
Any thoughts on the return of Lillian?
That's cool. I think I was tuning out at a time that she came into her own, so I'm not as familiar. It seems like a welcome addition or a welcome return for the universe that was plugged in at the time that I know I tuned out when she had arrived or had become the voice that I say Samantha Irvin is now. So I'm not quite as connected. So I can't say much more, but I'm not quite as connected to her impact or her presence on WWE television. So, but it don't sound like it was a bad move at all. And I think things will keep going quite nicely.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I don't disagree. Matter of fact, with that being said, we'll actually dive into tonight's Raw with that. And here's what we had: some fireworks early, which was, of course, Seth Rollins attacking Bronson Reed backstage. That then kind of bled over into the ring. And then, of course, Reed pulls apart the obviously, as you see, with the assistance of many others, they get pulled apart, and then he goes diving into the table there and just flattens it. And again, we weren't very long into tonight's program. How do you feel about this duo? Are you enjoying this, or who does this do more for? Let me ask you that.
Obviously, Bronson Reed. What does it do for Seth?
I am asking myself that very same question.
Nothing. Absolutely nothing. A loss to Bronson will help elevate Bronson, but what does it do for Seth? He's faced bigger guys. He's faced, freight trains, right? A freight train in Brock. He faced. Remember, he battled the Fiend to a loss for the Universal Championship. So I don't see where Seth gains anything from it. But so I'm inclined to believe this feud isn't even for Seth, in the sense that they know he don't get helped by it. But I think a favor has been asked, and he'll be able to cash in on that later.
Absolutely. And moving right along here. So again, if you recall, there was the New Day versus ultimately defeating the Authors of Pain to advance to the tag team #1 contenders tournament. But of course, at the conclusion of that, R-Truth attacked Miz at ringside. Karrion Kross, of course, helps them destroy, and the Authors of Pain, of course, is distracted. Kofi gets a roll-up win. Then the Final Testament, of course, attacks R-Truth. Kofi is about to save him, but then Woods stops him from doing it. The lights go out, and then there's the Wyatt Six. And they lay out the Final Testament.
The Wyatt Six lay out the Final Testament. Okay. What for? I need to figure out why.
Well, if you remember in some of those videos, they were dropping like, hey, you abandoned your family and that type of stuff. And then one of them, it said, there you are. And I think it was Miz that was on there.
Okay. Yeah.
So there's quite a few avenues here that I think they're exploring on finding a kind of the next program with as it pertains to them.
Are we going to see them in matches?
Well, I mean, we kind of have, but
right. I think that's what's missing. Like, all right, cool. You got them back. You got them back. You got us. You got the persona. You got the momentum. But they really don't do nothing but just attack people from ringside and cost the matches. They don't really do nothing. Like, where's Bo Dallas in the IC title picture, in the US title picture? Or where's anybody from the group developing as a wrestler or in a program elevating their status? It's just attacking people. Like we got that already. We want more for them. We expect more for them. The vignettes but we want to see them in matches doing things that they are capable of doing. Most of them.
Well, Rowan, I believe one of them did mention it to USA Today that they were all hand selected by Bray Wyatt. So there is no like theoretical, this should have been this guy or that girl.
Right.
These were all in advance. So post-mortem still having an impact literally. But to your point, unfortunately, what to do with them, I think it really does speak to his void because Uncle Howdy isn't the Fiend. Or it's just not Bray. So it'll be interesting. Again, we'll keep an eye on it. Again, moving along, we had this one. This one was strange to me. Okay, so Io Sky in basically they defeat Liv and Raquel via DQ because of interference from Lash and then, of course, Rhea comes out, lays out Raquel and Liv, and Rhea's about to, hit the riptide, but then Dom makes the save. My thing is this, though. Wouldn't that be a no contest?
Yeah, that's what I thought.
So, just one of those, that was probably the only part of it that was, I don't know. I was kind of perplexed by that. As Raw kind of continued, of course, the shouting match also continued. Wanted to make sure, again, they're getting there with Crown Jewel around. And then, of course, I did want to bring this up because I think this is going to this is where you would put a little bit of a bookmark for me.
Okay.
which is right here. Raquel actually says to Carlito, "What do you even do here?" And I think it really is signaling that his time with Judgment Day is ending.
Yeah, because he don't fit.
Right.
The groups got you got a tag team there. You've got Daddy Diamond, whatever's going on with Liv, and then what do you have? What do you need him to help enhance the Judgment Day persona? Like he's not necessary. He's not needed for that. Like this picture that you captured pretty effectively captures that sentiment.
Yeah, absolutely. And then Raw concludes with your main event, which is Yeet getting screwed over by Jacob and Solo, and Braun Breaker's your IC champion again.
Yo, well, how about that? Braun Breaker's back with the IC title. So now we got the chase. This is the type of chase that we wanted to have, perhaps with Cody Rhodes. Got the title, loses it, got to go fight, got to get it back. So I take it Solo and company managed to help Cost. Okay, that's fair. To bring the attention back to a bloodline versus bloodline situation at the expense of nothing like, oh, this is all right.
No, I completely agree. I'm cool with it as well. I know who won't be, which is of course Rikishi.
Right.
So we have our rapid fire segment next, which is going to span Raw, SmackDown, and to sprinkle a dash of AEW. And then, of course, we're going to conclude with Name That Superstar.
All right.
See you in 30.
Okay.
All right.
We're back.
Yeah, we are back. Gully, are you ready for your rapid fire segment?
Let's go start the engine. Let's bring it on home.
All right. So I intentionally did not show this match because it shows there what it ultimately led to, which was the LWO winning and advancing. So they next week will be going, it will be this trio here, which is for the number one contender for the tag team titles. This is the finals now, triple threat. We know Hunter loves triple threats. Maybe the only knock that I have that instantly comes to mind. So we have Rey Mysterio and Dragon Lee versus the New Day versus the War Raiders. D. Gully, who you got and why?
War Raiders.
Why to that?
Yeah, New Day. Their animosity needs to move to the forefront of their relationship. Rey Mysterio and Dragon Lee are going to sell you on this triple threat because of the high spots that they can do. I don't expect them to win anything. War Raiders. The War Raiders gonna make their presence felt. That's all I can say about that. But the other two, they don't have a purpose for winning like the War Raiders do.
All right, fair enough. And so, again, moving right along here, our next is, speaking of tag team titles, next Friday, actually this Friday now, it is the number one contenders match, which is the Motor City Machine Guns.
Yep. No
affiliation to my biceps. Versus DIY. Who you got and why?
Motor City Machine Guns versus DIY. Number one contenders match.
New signing.
I'd like to say DIY. Yeah, I'd like to say DIY. Motor City Machine Guns. Your DIY. That to me, that's a flip in the coin. Flipping the coin, I call it in the air. Heads I win, tails you lose. Right? Right, but I'm gonna go with DIY.
Absolutely. And moving right along, we get a face-off between Cody Rhodes, the undisputed WWE champion, and Gunther. Who you got and why?
It's a face-to-face. They're not wrestling.
Well, right. But who's leaving with at least like the momentum or something?
Cody still has the momentum impressively. Yeah. Now, as far as the match goes, I don't know.
Has the momentum, you said?
I think Cody does. No, I'm lying. It's Gunther. He ain't missed. He ain't missed the mark.
Well, I'm about to blow your mind, sir, because there is something that was not disclosed a little earlier, and I'm going to try to find it for you. Hang on a second. Oh, man. I'm going to see if this changes anything for you.
All right, let's go.
Here it is. Found it. After Raw went off the air, there was a crazy 15-minute street fight match, dark match, between Cody Rhodes and Jacob Fatu.
This is the part of wrestling that I guess this is kind of the beauty of it, right? You will never see this. No one would ever believe that this actually happened unless they saw it themselves. I could not make people believe that Sting had beaten Bret Hart when he did. And remember, we talked about that on that show.
That's right, and it was real.
And it was real. Nobody believed. Nobody believed me. Nobody.
I just remember I validated your,
Yeah. So when we see this, this is great to see because that means that this is a match that Fatu is going to get that experience and that exposure.
Stop it.
To eventually arrive at that main event stage, at that main event level. If not Cody Rhodes specifically, someone like Cody Rhodes, someone with that tenure and that poise and that stage presence that is needed to be a WWF superstar. So it was great. The fans got a treat to see that.
But what if I told you once again that Cody Rhodes had a dark match in Greenville against Dom?
Dom need all the help he can get.
No. You're not going to do that to him. It's more so why is the champion in the dark?
Why not?
Oh, bro.
I mean, yeah, maybe this match could have been on Raw.
You know what it is? There's no TV angle. It ruins the television avenue.
I never thought of it that way.
It is no different than, he might as well have wrestled Bret Hart. What am I doing out here?
What am I going out there for? What am I going out there for? Like, yeah. Nah, but this is cool, man. This is cool. This is what we need to see. Yeah, and again, this is. But see, here's the matches. Here's why this happens, and we talked about it, right? This is how you sell tickets. It's how you sell tickets. You can have these matches that people wouldn't believe happen. Like, oh man, you got to go see it. So the next time they go to a live event, they're subject to see something this, and then they can validate what you're talking about, i.e., Bret Hart versus Sting, or it could just help to get people, to watch and to stay tuned, even if we're not showing you the TV product, even if we're not showing you Raw is live or SmackDown is live, you're still getting a live enough show in a relevant time frame that you can talk about it with your friends and say that you win. And then if you really invested in the everyday goings on of professional wrestling, you have this feather under your cap. So I'm cool with it. I don't mind it.
No, I don't know. I think this title run is mid.
Yeah, I as much as I like this, I still come away with that. What is his marquee win? Like maybe a match versus Gunther may do that. Uh-oh. What do we got?
This, I think, speaks to a larger issue. Okay.
Will Ospreay has had more 5-star matches in 1 month than CM Punk, John Cena, and Kurt Angle have had in the combined. How's his merchandise sales? Oh, my God. Kevin Nash. Man. My guy. He's saying, all right, I get it. The business is about moving merch, selling tickets. That is what the business is about. That's what the business of professional wrestling is about. It is about moving merch, selling tickets. Wrapped in this.
Bro, you don't want me running this show. I'm telling you right now. I would have their butts planted. They'd love me. The talent would love me. You mean we don't have to go but quarterly to a real dope city that is going to be a huge setting record type?
Yeah.
Oh, they're all going to act like Lyon, France did?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, fireworks and all that. Multiple nights? Oh, yeah, you get to stay booked a whole weekend.
Yeah, has to have more houses merch sales. I love it. I love it, bro.
Because this is what it boils down to, folks. And like whether I love that or hate that, if you remember Rikishi's comments, right? On what the Yeet Man has done.
Okay, yep.
He specifically references Kevin Nash's point.
Right.
He doesn't say like, oh man, for that Mania match.
Yeah.
No, he says this dude, go look at who's producing in the merch.
Right.
I remember, bro, in Total Divas, that was it. Like Brie and Nikki wanted to move merch.
Mm-hmm.
That was their goal. Once they could design a thing or two, and then once that changed, they went from, it was Beamer, Benz, or Bentley. And John never had a problem with that, right?
No, not at all.
He that's why The Rock called him Fruit Loops because of all the colors.
Yeah, Fruity Loops. Yeah, Fruit Loops.
Fruity
And
Pebbles,
what
that
happened? He gave him a
and
sponsorship.
he turned that into merch too.
He turned it into merch. He flipped it on his head. Like, yep, you're right. Hey, when it Metro, shut your and make some drums. BBM,
Yeah.
right. Yeah.
I mean, that's the brilliance behind it. It's just I wanted to get your thoughts on it because it's so the opposite of quality, right? You're talking about someone who really, if you took all the other profitability stuff out of it and took it for what it was, which is these are fantastic matches. It's a shame there's 5 people watching. Don't do you, the purist, have a problem with that? Because I've called you, D Cornette plenty of times.
Right. Yeah, because in a very real sense, it is a product, and great matches that don't result in revenue do what? For the talent and for the business.
Yeah. And that's ultimately the issue that I have here
Right.
with it. And so
my bad, not to cut you off. It's just that as much as we love it, right? It's what does it take? For example, what does it take to align the two? What does it take to align Ospreay's 5-star classic matches with, hey, I want this action figure, I want this T-shirt, I want this poster, what does it take to line that up? Because certainly he's bringing the talent and he's bringing the action. What does it take for him to bridge that gap? I don't know.
Yeah, I mean that's a valid point. It's just disappointing. I mean,
it is.
Capitalism. Oh, woe is me. It is what it is, dude.
Yeah.
So, moving right along into to kind of wrap up our rapid fire here, part 7, game 7, SmackDown. D Gully, you got some folks we talked about. Andrade versus Carmelo Hayes. Who wins and why?
Part 7, 3-3. Who do I like? I'd like to say Hayes. Andrade. I'd have to flip a coin, man. Remember, heads I win, tails you lose. I mean, the push for Carmelo Hayes has been on for quite some time. All right. Gut feeling. Let's go with Carmelo Hayes. In a thriller. For sure, it's going to be a thriller. Yeah, I'm going with Hayes. Who do you got?
Oh, dude. Yeah, I'm going with Hayes as well. Which will probably be why it's on Andrade.
All right, for sure. Makes sense.
Moving right along, because I got some breaking news in the NFL that is just a cherry on top for stuff. Moving on to AEW, we got Sammy, of course, versus the Shelton Benjamin, who was referred to as Val Venus.
Run that back.
Oh, you want me to find that? Yeah, give me just a second. I will have to go back for sure.
Referred to as Val Venus by whom?
Oh man, hang on. Let's see. Oh, that's gonna bother me because I had. seen it a little earlier, and I knew I was going to bring it up. Beauty of live TV, folks. Bear with me.
I'm gonna try to look it up myself.
Shoot, hang on. In the meantime, I do want to mention that shout out to Rhino and Bob Ryder for getting in the TNA Hall of Fame.
Yeah, for sure.
I was going to mention that before we closed out, but
how much do you think it means to those guys?
I would actually think it would be pretty significant, right? Like that's kind of what you do it for indirectly.
Yeah,
is to to be remembered. And for someone to recognize kind of the amount of effort that you would put in.
Is AJ Styles in the Hall of Fame yet? Or does he have to be retired from active competition from all around before he gets there?
That's what I was thinking.
He's the name that I can certainly point to from TNA. Yeah, he's certainly a name that I could think of. Yeah, but congrats to both of those guys.
Oh man.
Don't worry about it. We'll find it later.
Oh yeah, I'm sure. So hang on, there you go. And let's see. But who was it that you'd said and why? I didn't catch that part of it.
In this match, I don't think I even offered Sammy. I'd like Sammy to win this. He's in the ring with Shelton Benjamin for a reason.
Mm-hmm.
Or maybe Shelton's in the ring with him for a reason. But I like Sammy to do this. Increase his stock a little bit by wrestling a veteran who never ever got the proper build in WWE. Probably reflective of leadership at the time and a certain view on characters like him. And I'll let you make your inferences if you want. But he should have been in the well, perhaps maybe the apology that we got for it or the mea culpa that we got for it was Big E and Bobby Lashley and most certainly Kofi Kingston in the position that they were able to get main eventers, WWE champions, having a run at the top billing of a company. Shelton Benjamin had everything you were looking for, but never got there. And one would make you think that it was because of Shelton Benjamin that he was lacking something. I don't know what he lacked. but I'm glad he's back. He's back. Look at MVP back there doing his thing. I'm glad he's back and active, and he looks like he's enjoying doing it. You know what I'm saying? It's not just for a paycheck. And hopefully something real and authentic and satisfying can come out of it in terms of a program, a match, a feud with a wrestler. So hopefully something memorable comes out of his run in AEW.
Oh, yeah. No, completely agree. Completely agree. I'm curious what between kind of him and, well, he's had the program. He's got the gang back together. That's the thing.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting. I don't know. I'm not quite ready to close that chapter quite yet for him. And then, but speaking of closing chapters, so the breaking news is apparently Jameson Williams is trending. He's getting a 2-game suspension for violating the PES policy.
From the 49ers?
No, Lions.
From the Lions. Oh, wow.
Yeah, isn't that that's something?
Yeah.
All right. So with that being said, we will take our final break, and then we will jump into Name That Superstar. And then we will send you all on your way. All right. See you in just a minute.
What it do, sports fans? It's your man BSJ from the Shop Report. And guess what? The shop is now open for business, baby. If you're on Facebook, go to our fan page, The Shop Report. Click on More, and then Shop to view all products. Or if you're on Instagram, click on the Shop tab to see all our products. I mean, what you want me to do? I'm selling merch here.
All right, just like that, we are back. D Gully, are you ready?
All right, man. It's been a rough patch for me last couple of weeks.
That's right. So this individual did make his appearance in the 90s. So we'll keep it in the 90s at least.
Mm-hmm.
He had a manager. All right, none other than Jim Cornette.
All right, made his debut in the 90s or made an appearance in the 90s?
No, his debut.
All right, made his debut in the 90s, managed by Cornette. So we're not talking about the Midnight Express. Got it.
That's right. And this, we talked about In Your House.
Mm-hmm.
The final appearance came in Your House. D Gully, name that superstar.
It's not Bastion Booger.
It is not.
Final appearance came at In Your House.
Which would be basically he made it about 7 months.
Oh.
The year is after East 1999 was released.
All right, so Cornette was his manager, and we're not talking about. All right, yeah, because I don't think Cornette managed Baston Burger. 90s. Hold on. Man, I started out hot. I'm cooling off. Hold on. Wait a minute. '90s manager, Jim Cornette. Nah, you got to give me that one. Who is it?
Are you sure?
I'm certain.
If I give you the year, does that help?
No.
Oh, man. Well, you would have known it was after 1994. So the year would have been 1995, actually.
Balls Mahoney.
No, unfortunately, not him either. Instead, D. Gully, the superstar, is actually Mike Halak, otherwise known as
Mantar. Boy, oh boy, Vinny Mac. Vinny Mac, one of his what? What? Like we had to contend with that. Like we had to be like, yeah, I want to see Mantar. What? Yeah.
So wanted to
and Cornette was his manager?
That's right. 1995. All right. Well, thankfully
you got another one, right?
Yeah, I do. I do. We got a shot of redemption here, everybody.
All right, let's go for it.
All right. D. Gully, name that superstar. This individual was in the early 90s, but he started his career in AWA a decade earlier.
And he's no longer with us, right?
He was a heel and a top heel at that. He also feuded with The Undertaker, who we referenced earlier on the show.
He feuded with The Undertaker or Mean Mark Calloway?
No, The Undertaker.
He had a feud with The Undertaker.
And another member of ultimately what would become the Corporation.
And he feuded with The Undertaker. Became a member of the Corporation. Corporation had. And he's no longer with us, huh?
Yes, unfortunately, this individual is no more.
Okay. It wasn't Test.
Oh, wait a minute. No, I'm sorry. It was the last individual, I thought. The Mantar passed away last year.
Oh, see? So this guy's still around.
Yeah, this guy's still kicking.
All right. I feuded with The Undertaker. Notable feuds with The Undertaker. Yeah, member of Corporation. And not the corporate ministry. Corporation. Not Nails. Nails.
You are redeemed, D. Gully. That absolutely was the first individual. Sensational. He was once managed by Sensational Sherry Martel.
Yes.
And then, of course, debuted in WWF as Nails, an ex-convict who was abused by none other than the prison guard, most notably known as Big Boss Man.
Right.
After feuding with Big Boss Man, he, of course, got another push, feuding with Taker. And, however, his career was cut short with WWF after he was violently attacking Vince McMahon in his office, choking him over a financial dispute.
Yes. Yes, that is in fact Nails. Man, I was on a skid, bro. I was on a hitting slump before I caught that change up right across the plate.
Right down Broadway.
Yeah. Before I Juan Soto that joint. Oh man, Juan Soto. Oh gosh. If you're a Guardians fan, you hate to hear that name, Juan Soto.
Well, yeah, believe me, as a Tigers fan, I could give you a whole.
Oh my gosh, Juan Soto, man. Every night. Every freaking, like, how is it every night? Every night, bro.
Yeah. No, I feel. Hey, look, I understand. David Fry did his best for you guys. I can tell you that.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, he did.
It would have helped if we would have had more than one starting pitcher.
You know what? The thing
idea.
about, you see here, the thing about baseball. The trouble about baseball is, even though football is similar, football can be similar, but in baseball, there is no guarantee that a team that is dominant in one year will be remotely close to dominant the next year. The Indians might not even make, they could win 83 games next season. Same team could win 83. This is possible. And I'm not just saying that because I'm thinking like, oh, this is Indians history or this is how I go. No, this is the trend for baseball, period. Like, unlike any other sport. Like a team could just not click next year. And then what do you have? But like, you know what I'm saying? In football, it can tend to happen, but not like baseball. Some of those teams like the Dodgers, they can win 100 games every year. You know what I mean? It can happen. Your heavyweight hitters can do that. The Dodgers can do that. The Yankees can do that. The Orioles have had a couple of good years, right? How many postseason runs did they had?
Exactly.
That's what I'm saying. So that's the thing about baseball, which makes it so, unfortunate as a fan. It's like, man, this is October Magic. They may not even sniff the playoffs next year. It's possible. And again, like I said, I'm saying it not because, oh man, this is the Indians. This is just our luck. No, it's any team's luck in the MLB, which probably is part of the magic of a team making it. Things clicking at the right time, people coming together at the right time, clutch hits at the right time, clutch saves and all. What makes a truly talented team, and getting the ball to bounce the right way or getting the ball out of the park the right way. Such a dynamic sport, lots of varying factors, a lot more than any other sport, I think, at least in the US. So congrats to the Dodgers and Yankees for making it. Congrats to the Mets and the Guardians for being the unlikely oppositions in the way of the Dodgers and the Yankees. I think.
Oh my gosh!
Yeah, to think that it would be the Mets.
Gully.
Yeah,
bruh, dude, look at Godwin's ankle.
Whoa.
It looks like Rick James and Dave Chappelle.
Yeah. Wow.
Bro, he's done. They lost Mike Evans and Godwin in the same game.
No way.
Like the waiver, like I don't even want to. I feel terrible saying like, oh, the waiver wire, but like, bro, they were down 10 with 50 seconds ago when this happened.
They were down 10. Wait a minute, this is Godwin like, here.
Yeah, I'm telling you right now, if I go and Google Dave Chappelle as Rick James on the couch after they got stomped out or whatever,
yeah,
that's what his leg looks like.
Wow. Man, they lost Mike Evans and Godwin.
Dude, I'm telling you right now, if you were one of those individuals that had a ton of money, like waiver wire money that hanging around, here's your chance. I got a golden ticket. Like,
yeah,
good luck, because, bro, I mean, I'm used to seeing injuries.
Yeah.
I am not used to seeing this many.
Right. I mean, same game.
Jameson Williams suspended. Juju Smith-Schuster hurt. Debo sick, throwing up. He's gone. Pneumonia or something. But Ayuk done for the year.
Yep.
Godwin done for the year.
Yep.
I mean, obviously, that ankle looks like oatmeal. Like, it's through.
Right.
Oh. I don't know the severity of Mike Evans.
Right.
But
that's going to be a while. And then we already talked about Deshaun Watson.
Right.
Oh, man.
This is like, out of any year, this becomes more of a survivor season. Because like now that just, like you could have been 4-2 sitting pretty, and you could have literally lost. Oh, did I say Zay Flowers?
Right. No, you didn't say Zay Flowers. I saw that one.
Oh, dude. Oh, man.
This is rough, man. Absolutely.
Apparently, they both got hurt towards the end also.
Who both got hurt towards the end?
Yeah, towards the end of the game.
Yeah. That sucks too, because the game got out of hand and then you still lose your play.
So apparently, Joe Buck had said that the production team didn't want to show that injury, like the replay.
Really? Hold on. Who else messed up their leg yesterday in that way?
Ayuk definitely did.
No, it wasn't Ayuk. It wasn't Ayuk. That I could. No, it wasn't Ayuk. And it wasn't, Hutchinson. That was last week, right?
Mm-hmm.
Somebody tore up their tibia.
Oh, not Debo. Debo's hurt too.
Yeah, no, somebody tore up their tibia as well. Man. Yeah, football is it's a real sport, man. These are gladiators. For sure, for our entertainment. And I want to be very careful and mindful not to give the presence of callousness when you talk about a guy who's battled back from injuries. I think me and Barbershop, we've talked about it before. We shared our sentiment on that. Like, how you be like, oh, guy, he can't stay healthy. Like, no, have you ever tried? You go through a car crash every day, every play for Sundays for somebody's entertainment, not to mention the many car crashes that you actually have to do for practice for every day of the week leading up to those games. It's a real sport. It's a real sport.
Absolutely. And with that being said, anything else on your end before we reconvene on Saturday?
Let's see what those ratings are at for AEW and WWE and NXT, and can you buy a vowel for me? So we'll see what those numbers are. Looking forward to some of the newer, upcoming pay-per-views and the changes to see what happens. But nothing major. It's kind of like just be on the lookout for sure. Nonetheless, I'm vested. Can't wait to see what happens next. I can give my opinion on, give my insight. But yeah, that's all we got for right now.
Yeah, on my end, you'll probably, if I get a moment to breathe, I will try to put out sometime tomorrow, I'll put out probably a short on like literally or / reel, if you will, on top 5 players to target for fantasy.
Okay. Yeah.
For the waiver wire.
People need that, bro.
Dude, now my life just got even more complicated, and we were on the air for the turnbuckle. So, forget the dark matches. It was what happened when we were, in the dark over here, on the other side of things. So, otherwise, that is it from me. Thank you to those that were still, that are still with us. The numbers are actually growing, which, again, we are of the people, not above the people. So, by all means, you can reach us at the shopreport365@gmail.com. You can find the merch on the Facebook and Instagram store, again, at the Shop Report. And again,
check me out
if you want. Check us out.
Check me out on the Twitch or the YouTube or the TikTok. You see the shorts there. You'll find me there with my opinion, short insights, and other surprises where you just scroll. But you can catch up with us, and we always there, for a healthy debate and you don't believe me or like what I said, tell me about it. We'll talk about it. We can holler. We can rap.
Absolutely. We can talk about it on Saturday for sure.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, Saturday at 9 on the PM side, right?
That's right. And if you really want to know what's going on,
come to the shop. Walk-ins are always welcome.
Holla.